thinking about all of those recycled, if those items were coming through, how would we be able to separate them? So really don't belong on that curbside recycle plan. Always making sure the materials are kept clean and dry. No food waste or liquids in the recycle bin. So just don't mix it together. It just becomes a complete contaminated load. Any of the material, if it is contaminated and it winds up getting in with the recyclable material, now you have fiber that may have been, nice and clean in those bales. Now it just becomes a dirty garbage product and ultimately has to get carted off to the landfill. So all the recycling efforts just go to waste. And again, no plastic bags, films, or wraps. We want to make sure we're keeping all of that out so that way the recycle loads continue to stay nice and clean. So when you're putting your material in the recycle container, just throw it in loose. At the house, I know I have a recycle bin and my garbage bin. And what I do is I put my recyclables in a bag, but then I just go outside and I just dump them in to my recycle can. I wind up bringing my garbage bag back in. It's generally pretty clean. I could reuse it now for my garbage. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where this is where the plastic bags get caught up, and you actually have, people that have to go up there and clean those out. So, keeping the plastic bags out is very, very important. But you can bring plastic recycling bags, to different types of drop-off centers, as well as any of these, drop-offs for fluorescent lights, for batteries and such. A lot of local businesses do have these drop-offs, especially like places like Best Buy, who are selling, a lot of these electronic products. One of the requirements is that they actually have a drop-off site for people to bring their material back to. So, that's really it. It was a faster video probably than me narrating it, but that's generally the 3 golden rules of recycling. So what we're going to move on to next is I'm going to move on to just the PowerPoint presentation. And what this is really going to do is it's going to focus on the end product essentially. So let me just share this screen here. Okay. And we'll start it from the beginning. Okay. So in Earth Day, of course, today, April 22nd. Earth Day, the first Earth Day was April 22nd, 1970. So I like to look at this as just a full circle, which of course, that's what we're striving for with closing the recycling loop. So, collecting it at the curb and then ultimately, keeping it clean and all of the ways that we should go about doing that. But now, getting into, okay, once it leaves my house, once it leaves the curb, once it leaves the business, what happens next? And that's really the next portion of the presentation. So this is a picture of one of our recycle facilities, our material processing facilities. And what we do is any of the trucks that come off the residential routes or the business routes, we will tip that recyclable material onto the floor, onto a tip floor. And you'll notice, this load here, it's a pretty clean cardboard load. At the bottom, you see a trash bag mixed in there, but generally it's a pretty clean load of cardboard. And you'll notice in the back, you'll see different piles of material. One looks a little bit more contaminated. It still looks like there's paper products in it. But still, you can see the difference in contamination levels. And then if you go a little bit further in the picture, you start to see some paper and mixed papers. Clean white paper, very, very attractive to market. So clean, high-grade office paper is generally the best type of item to market. So here again, just another picture of just generally the tip floor. Once that truck comes in, you have the yellow iron, just moving the piles, making sure that the majority of it's separated. It'll then get loaded onto the conveyor systems, and the conveyor systems, the technology is here. It will separate paper products with air. It'll use a reverse eddy current to separate aluminum cans. It will use manual labor to pull off any items that are just big and clearly trash. So this conveyor system it really goes through a big process, your recyclables, once it gets into the material recovery facilities. So again, there's just people on the line really working hard to keep that recyclable material as clean as possible. So we have the big equipment used to move these piles and piles. I mean, there's a lot of waste that'll come through the facility, a lot of recyclable items, and ultimately getting it onto those conveyor systems takes a lot of movement. So, but once it is on those conveyors and it goes through the sorting process, you could see here, this is clearly milk jugs. So the technology we have is it really can just get it down to a single type of product. So it's really very much advanced, behind the scenes to make sure that all of that material is kept as clean as possible. So, the bales, we talked a little bit about how they go out to market and how they're moved. And you could kind of see, if you look to the left, those are bales of, and hopefully it's the left on your side, but they're bales of plastic. And plastic, for example, when it comes through the transfer system, if it does come through, even though we say we really don't want that in the curbside, there are some businesses that will actually package up some plastics from like shipping and such. They have baling systems in their own buildings. And then when they come in, we can market that, to like a Trex decking, for example. They'll purchase this type of product and use it in their Trex deck boards. In the middle of the screen, you see really just like a colorful bales. That's really your rigid plastics. The Tide bottles, the orange juice containers, things like this. The hard plastics that you can purchase at the grocery store. You'll see later on a little bit down in the presentation. Those types of items are usually marketed for like playground equipment. Other plastic items. That's what they're ultimately used for. And then you'll have your aluminum, containers in there, your aluminum cans and soda cans. And then, you'll have cardboard. And I guess what you can, just really take note of is in the beginning, we showed you some really nice clean products. And these kind of look dirty, and that's, we're striving for the cleaner product, because the cleaner product is definitely more marketable. And what that means back to the community is really ultimately cost savings. Now, it is the market itself, of course, will fluctuate. But when times are good, for example, IWS is paid more for that product. What we ultimately do is we take that profit and we put it right back into the business, and then ultimately, if the cost savings get passed along back to our customers, it helps keep rising costs lower. That's why we really strive for keeping that products clean. One, because we have to recycle; it's our core value. But two, from the business aspect of it, it makes financial sense to do it. Um, so, so some new products that are made from the recycling products. So winter jackets, really the polyester lining within the jackets are made from old plastic bottles. In some cases, 150 plastic bottles can make up one jacket's filling. So, and hey, this one is a popular name brand, and sure enough, it's a recycled plastic products keeping us warm. Sleeping bags, uh, same here, the lining made with recycled plastics, but also the fiber that I spoke of earlier. It could also be, used in the manufacturing process, at least a portion of the manufacturing process, to create the outer or inner linings of the sleeping bags. Stadium seating, this is really a twofold here. One, the recycled plastics, that rigid plastic that I was speaking of earlier, the orange juice and the Tide bottles, used in creating new stadium seating. But also scrap iron that from construction projects, these companies that do demolition on buildings and really follow a LEED certification process and separate out their metals and then ultimately bring it to a metal recycler. This type of scrap iron can be used in in new seats. But really, for me, this is the part that I really like is just the old stuff. Taking it out and using it for smaller teams. Donated to maybe older stadiums. Or even some types of I think sometimes fans will purchase the seating and such, just so it doesn't end up in the landfill. So just really thinking about how can I reuse what I have and not just throw it away. Automotive parts, recycled containers. So a lot of plastics on our vehicles, the seat linings as well. So a lot of that can be made from both the rigid plastics, and recycled bottles. Playground equipment. So this is the high density polyethylene, HDP, which are also, again, your milk jugs, laundry detergent bottles, orange juice containers. So really right back into the community, with playground equipment for our children. Toothbrushes. So this one was new for me. I was like, oh, this is very interesting. But recycled yogurt cups, I get asked a lot about these when I present to schools. I guess there's a lot of yogurt in the schools, and the end product I really never knew, and so I learned this definitely this time around in toothbrushes. The handles, they use the recycled yogurt cups, but of course the bristles they're generally new for that. Baseball bats, so that's aluminum cans, canned goods and soda cans. Berry boxes and egg crates. This is really from newspapers. And this is also an item that can go, right back into the recycling bin. If they're not too contaminated, if you get lucky and you don't have any eggs breaking or your berries aren't, super juicy and all over, that's another item that can just go right back into the recycling bin too. Kitty litter, that is, it's made in some cases from newspaper. So that is also a nice recycled product that we can use in our homes. Soap, this is, now with the current conditions, I'm not sure how much of this is going on, but, like this is really more so in hotels, where, in the past, maybe it was a 1 or 2 use. There was recycling programs where they would clean the soaps and then send them to areas, other countries where cleaning supplies were difficult to come by. Bricks are now here's an interesting item, the glass. So in the town, we ask the residents to really do their best not to put glass in with the curbside recycling, simply because it's a single stream recycling program. And what we're really trying to do is keep those loads as clean as possible, in particular the fiber, because the glass shards will break and contaminate the fiber, and turning those loads into just garbage. So, but in the park, it's a dual stream recycle program where, cans, bottles, and glass are still collected together because they are separated before it even goes into a truck, from the fiber, from your newspaper and cardboard. So, again, just trying to keep each commodity as clean as possible. But in the instance where recycled glass can be separated out, it's used to produce a material that's perfect for use in bricks due to its smooth surface. So in Orange County too, we talk about, trying to reduce the amount of glass in the curbside bins, but the county itself operates those two transfer facilities in New Hampton and in Newburgh. And there are actual just glass only containers over there. And some municipalities have also just started just a community drop-off glass only. So that way we can still continue to try to recycle our glass, but it's not in the curbside bin, contaminating the rest of those recyclable items. Roads, glass is used in roads. Sometimes you'll see at night the road reflecting and sparkling. That's definitely a case where glass has been used and mixed in the asphalt. And then there's some, I guess they use some glass in some of the reflective markers along the roadside, but ground up so fine, but used for the reflective qualities in those markers. But also, interestingly enough, the roofing shingles, if they are in a LEED program and the demolition company is taking those shingles off, or a roofing company, and there is an outlet for it, it could be ground and mixed in to improve the quality of the pavement for roadways. Trophies, just something that you may not think of, but recycled glass for some of the glass trophies that people receive, awards, but also plastics. In the trophies that are just really made up more of plastic, they usually have a certain percentage of recyclable items within them. And tennis balls, this one's interesting because of course it's rubber. Used to make the tennis ball. But what I found really interesting was just the reuse side of it, because, there's scraps from the tennis balls as they're being created, and just those scraps can be used to create an additional 2 million tennis balls. So instead of those scraps just, going right to the landfill, there are companies that are actually just reusing those scraps to create more. So that concludes really the presentation, just from the beginning, to the end, to the closed loop. So just want to, open it up to, thinking about some ways that we reduce, reuse, and recycle at home, but also, any questions about, anything, of course, that I've spoken about.
Thank you so much, Marissa. That was a great presentation. I learned a lot. I have questions, but I'll open it up to the floor first. I do want to thank the Town of Tuxedo Board and the Village of Tuxedo Park Board for supporting our efforts of the joint Climate Smart Community Task Force. Some of us are on the call or the webinar tonight, and we all welcome everybody the first Monday of every month at 5:30 via the WebEx if you'd like to join our efforts. So I just want to, what I will do is open it up so participants can unmute themselves, and you can also type questions into the chat. So first let's go. Okay, participants are allowed to unmute themselves, and while somebody is taking the floor, I'll look at the chat.
Hi, Marissa. It's Maria May. Ask you a question.
Maria.
So when you're recycling white paper, so I am a teacher and I work with children that have like private information. So I tend to shred the paper that has their information, but I want to recycle that. How is that part of the recycling that could happen in our home, or should that just be like at school?
Absolutely. Both home and school, without a doubt. A suggestion for that recyclable paper, it could go right into your curbside recycle plan. Also at the school, if you have, the recycle bins outside for school, just a recommendation, put that in a paper bag. That way it's not in a plastic bag. Put it in a paper bag. And that way you could just put it in, it's contained, it won't fly all over, and the whole thing is a recycled item.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Marissa. Hi. Is somebody else or am I on? It's Evelyn.
Evelyn, you're on.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I have an idea about the stickers that are on the recycle bins down in the town. I was just thinking, I was wondering if you guys could print up some stickers, have them available at the town hall or at the clerk's office. We could go over and get them and just put them on our bins.
You know what? That's
a
a great idea. Yes.
Because obviously what's on those stickers, what you're telling us is not what's supposed to be on that. Like, for instance, bottles, you would rather have us put glass in only glass containers in the town, but I don't think there are any. So that's a question,
Yeah,
that's one thing. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the stickers at the town hall, that's a really, really great idea, because one of the challenges that we face just internally, just at IWS, is just the manpower to
Right.
re-sticker all the containers. So that's actually a really great way. We can get them to the town, and then residents can definitely pick it up without a
Right.
doubt.
Yeah, you'd have to have piles of them, but you could figure out how many stops you made or something. And a question about electronics. And then you'd have to let the town know, go get your sticker, put it at the post office, put some little signs up or something. I mean, I don't know. Get the word out,
That's right.
We could tell everybody, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And electronics, you say take it to a transfer station. I have no idea where there is a transfer station for electronics.
Yes. So there's two transfer stations in Orange County that are county operated transfer stations. The first one is on 17M in New Hampton. Basically, just I'm just trying to think of a point of reference over that way. Like Royal Pools is over that way. New Hampton. There's a couple of car dealerships. But if you Google it's Orange County transfer stations, the actual address will come up. And then the second one is in Newburgh. Same thing, Orange County transfer
That's
station.
too far away.
Yeah, it's in Orr Avenue, but same type of thing. So they have a nice setup for electronic drop-off, and it's a very nominal fee to dispose of it.
If I may add,
thank you.
Actually, the town of Tuxedo has electronic recycling. They had it for a long time in, like November through January. So I'm sure they'll have it again. So if you are listening if you go on the website and if you go to the highway department, they have electronic recycling going on there. I don't know when the next one will be, but I'm sure it will be sometime soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Evelyn. Let me go through some of the chat questions. In the village, which does the dual stream, should we be recycling glass? Does it contaminate?
So the dual stream, is really a better application for keeping contamination levels, at bay. So I know the carting company, Sterling, they're still collecting dual stream. So your cans, bottles, and glass, if you really, where the contamination comes from is on the fiber side, and that fiber is already separated from the cans, bottles, and glass. So I believe, in the curbside recycling program in the park, because it's dual stream, you can continue to put those items in your recycle bin. The issue in the town is because it's collected single stream, is the glass, the shards break, and then it ultimately contaminates the fiber.
Fiber, like the cardboard especially, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So then another question about in single stream in the town, even glass jars should not be recycled, correct?
In the curbside recycle
Yes.
bin, yes. And one of the things, like, I've noticed for myself, just kind of changing my habits. Some of it is just changing your habits and looking for alternatives. And I find myself, when I'm faced in the grocery store with a traditional product that I would buy, maybe spaghetti sauce or pickles or something like that, I say, what are my alternatives here? What else can I buy that I will still be able to recycle? And I found in a lot of cases, there are plastic alternatives available, and then that plastic alternative, can go into my curbside recycle. But there's just some stuff that you may not want to purchase because maybe it's jarred and such. And in those cases, maybe it's worth storing, for a couple weeks, and then just taking a quick trip over to New Hampton and putting it in the glass recycle bin.
Okay. And then a question on the answer on brown paper grocery bags, ShopRite, et cetera. You mentioned the grocery. If you're not, sorry, I'll that background noise. Okay, here we go. I think that was it. Okay, I'm sorry. Did you hear me about the
Just about the regular like brown paper bag, ShopRite bags, if they can go in the curbside recycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those bags, it almost goes back to pre all of these plastic bags, these single use. Those, I find that the brown ShopRite bags are really useful for a lot of things. A lot of the containing recyclable items. So without a doubt, you can use those to contain your papers. Put them right into the recycle bin. You could put them in the recycle bin just after your shopping trip. It's just that if they somehow get contaminated with oils and such, then you would just want to throw it away. But generally, they're pretty clean. Put them right in the recycle bin.
Okay. Next. Okay. So yeah, this is a question about, can we get a glass recycling container maybe at the highway department up on Long Meadow Road? I mean, if we were to do something like that, would IWS be able to come and just pick that up, or how could that work? Would that be on a monthly basis, or?
So we definitely can. We're actually doing that at the town of Blooming Grove now. We have a glass recycling container at the DPW. But what we found was we picked it up on a weekly basis. The issue with the glass is, right, it's always breakage. So at the beginning, we started picking up Blooming Grove on like a monthly basis. But what was happening was the material, there was just too much in the container. So then as it was getting dumped in the truck, now it was falling down and breaking at the DPW. So the way we found is just, pick up that container weekly, just keep it moving. And that way we don't deal with now breakage, at a DPW site.
Okay. This is a question I hear often. How can we be sure that the recycle bin and the trash bin are not intermingled on the truck? It seems that they are placed in the same location in the truck. I
Yes.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the challenges we have definitely had is the mini packer route. That's the little truck, and so I'm curious: is it the small truck that we've seen this on?
Is no? No? Okay, she says no. It's
Okay, so so generally what will happen in the town, and I'm not sure also too, if the park where the question comes from, because there's a different collection company there, but in the town, the material is collected by the automatic side loads. That's the trucks with the arms, for the most part, majority of the roads. So we have trucks that have dual compartments in them that will be it'll have both a compartment for trash and a compartment for recycle, so it is kept separate. Um, but there have definitely been times over, especially the pandemic, we've faced challenges when we had labor issues, just with people being out sick or quarantining, where the material wound up, possibly getting mixed in that rear load packer. But generally, what will happen is when that material goes to the transfer station, as much of it that can be pulled out will be. Because the goal is not for a couple of reasons. The goal is never to collect everything together. One, for financial reasons, we're paying $113 a ton to dump it versus a reduced rate, to dump as recyclable items. And then two, just as far as just the ethics of it, we are based. The foundation is based in recycling and really being environmental stewards. So we would never strive to do that. It's just in the last year, there's been some extenuating circumstances, I think, that has caused that in some cases.
Okay, should we recycle metal and plastic bottle caps?
So you don't have to take them off. So you could definitely throw if you're taking off caps, you can throw them into the recyclables. You don't have to take off, lids off of the water bottles or soda bottles, if you just have a tendency to just screw them back on after you're done. So yeah, they can ultimately go into the recycle item bin. Fine.
Okay, how about junk mail? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Yep. There's an actual type of mix that comes from residential household mix, which includes junk mail. So without a doubt, put that right in the recycle bin.
And just to confirm, we should be rinsing cans, bottles, rinsing them and drying them before putting them in the bin.
You can keeping it as clean as possible. Yes, that will be very, very helpful. As far as the, as drying them goes, what I say to that is, even if it's just a few drops of water at your house, multiply that by all of the homes, and then you start getting into that, a wet product. That winds up also now contaminating your fiber, your cardboard, your junk mail, and then that product becomes just really unusable. So yeah, general rule of thumb: keep it clean and as dry as possible.
Okay.
Peanut butter jars are a challenge. That is hard.
But you have to get all the peanut butter out. How about paper receipts? They're questioning whether the type of ink used for paper receipts makes it no good for recycling.
It's okay. General paper receipts, they're small enough that it's fine. If you kind of just mix them in with your recycle items. I actually have a little bin right next to me that, because I have a tendency to say, oh, am I going to return this? Am I not going to return this? So I throw all my receipts into a little bin, and then ultimately, a few months later, I'll put that right in the recycling. So that's fine.
Okay. Now, do you know in the village, which is the dual stream, is it glass, metal, and plastic, or just glass and metal?
Yeah, plastics will always definitely be a part of it. The plastics, if anything, the market's always okay, not never great, but it's okay on the plastics. it's only the glass that really comes into question. So yeah, rule of thumb, definitely your cans, your plastic bottles, and then in the park, I believe the glass is still acceptable.
Okay. Are we supposed to flatten cardboard boxes?
So, so in the town, with the single stream, I would just say, it really depends on how many cardboard boxes you're putting in your toter. If you can get away with just throwing them in and having room for everything else each week, that's totally fine. It's not necessary to break them down. I just in the park, I think that they're collecting them right. Maybe you need to have them tied in the park because of the way they're collecting them dual stream.
That's
And
right.
that's really important for just to keep it neat around the house, and also just make it easy for the collectors. There's some communities that struggle with breaking down their boxes and tying them, and it really just makes for just a mess. The wind comes and it's just everywhere. So yeah, keep doing that in that scenario.
Okay. Are cleaned plastic meal containers okay to include? Are there any plastics allowed besides soda water bottle, detergent bottles, milk jugs?
So, so the food containers are you like meaning kind of like if you go to ShopRite and you have like a prepackaged pre-cooked dinner that you would just reheat? Is that the type of container?
I would guess.
Or like
Yeah,
salad.
it could be that, or yeah, like a platter container that you might get at a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah. So
Because all these
really,
things all have a recycling symbol on them, but it's questionable as to whether it's valuable for you guys or not.
exactly. So what I would say is it's going to be the rigidity of that plastic. So I know like some of the Chinese food containers, like I'll keep them because I could kind of reuse them, just at the house because they're of a very good quality, a high quality. But then there's some that just I have to wind up throwing away. Like those clamshells, those plastic clamshells that the salads will generally come in, they're really garbage. They're not really a recyclable product. So, anything that's really looks disposable, it's just it's disposable. Anything that you could actually reuse, that's where you could tell the quality of a product that could be recycled.
Is there a preferred way to wrap up or to tie up cardboard? String, should you tie it around one way, then tie it around another way, make it, if this is for the park? Or
Yeah, so either any really which way. If you're tying it up with twine, even in some cases, maybe 1 week you have a box that's big enough and you flatten it and you could kind of stack it all in that box and you don't even have to tie it. You could. Some people use like a tape, like a painter's. I don't want to say a duct tape because then now that's not water soluble, but like a painter's tape, a masking tape. Really the goal is just to keep those boxes together. So for really, ease of collection and, preventing them from flying all around in the windstorms.
Okay. Okay, that's the end of the questions in the chat. There is one other question about can we provide information on composting? And I'll just put a plug in for our composting program that we will be having June 12th at the Farmers Market with a Cornell Cooperative Extension Master Gardener. And you can pre-order compost bins and rain barrels. That information is available on the town's website. So that's the chat questions. I'll just open up the rest of the audience. If anybody else has another question they'd like to answer, you can unmute yourself.
I have a question about the plastic bags. I know they're recyclable in the glass. We're driving somewhere to drop off our plastic and driving somewhere else to drop off our glass now. Isn't there a way we could just put all our plastic bags into one big plastic bag and drop it in there? And I mean, it's kind of, I mean, it's recyclable material. It seems that you only want, white paper and clean items and things that are going to make you money. But these things are recyclable and they should be recycled.
And that's a common. It's definitely a common question, and it's definitely a common a common feeling about this. The real issue is well yes, it's ultimately focused on the commodities market, and ultimately really coming back into the community, that because that whatever that profit is comes directly back into like your contract, for example. Those other types of items, they're just what do I want to say? Once they go into the recycle facility, if they're not actually recycled in these other types of outlets, they just become they just become garbage. So our whole idea is really just is anything that's in that curbside recycle bin, keep it as clean as possible, and then these other types of items that are out there, really look for ways to even just reduce plastic bags in general, just from the day to day. Go more towards reusable bags, go more towards paper bags, things that can actually either be reused or put into your recycle bin. Because to your point, it does become really a hassle. It almost becomes easier to just find alternatives instead of trying to find these different ways to recycle bags. And I think that New York, really one of the reasons for that bag law, that single-use bag law, is those bags that were coming out of the grocery stores, you couldn't even reuse them. They would like rip as soon as you left the store. So they really were just producing an item that was just garbage, and really bad for the environment in general. But your point's well taken, and it's a general concern and a general question.
Okay, any other questions?
So I'm excited about the idea of getting a town glass recyclable place, because that is an issue that we, Marissa, you and I and Michelle
Yes.
have talked about for a long time. And, I'm still like, I don't know what to do, but I think if we can find something like what you had with the other town, where we can have everything brought to like the highway yard or something, like the way that we recycle the electronics, and then you can pick them up from there. That would be so good. Yeah. We could work something
Yeah.
like that.
That community really likes it. So of course, that's you decide amongst yourself which would be the best option for you, but it's 100% available.
Okay, we'll follow up. Well, I want to thank you so much, Marissa. It was a great presentation, and I think that, oops, another question. Oh, no, just some more thank yous coming in on the chat.
Thank
So,
you. I'm very passionate about this. It's I when we presented to the schools earlier today, it's I started in this business when I was 16 years old, just as a fluke on a job board, and through college, I have an English degree. I didn't really go for this. But it just became like a lifelong passion, really. And so I really enjoy this. And I find myself in many cases every day standing there saying, well, how can I make this change? How can I not produce waste? It's a conscious thought, and it's a conscious effort every day, even though I do this for a living and really live by it. I have to make really conscious choices each day on how to continue to reduce, reuse, recycle. But I feel good. I feel like I'm doing my part, so it makes me happy.
well, you did a great job this morning with the two science classes, one from Tuxedo School District and one from Tuxedo Park School. You did a wonderful job and really got them thinking. So that was great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Michelle.
Happy Earth Day, everyone.